Hi, seventh graders. Welcome to the month of November and your second book talk of the year. Before we get into the books for this month, I wanted to talk a little more about how to get a great book from the library, some review, and some relatively new information. First off, a reminder that you can be placing books on hold using the Destiny to Discover library catalog. And this is great, especially when you are at home, no matter what cohort you are a part of. Remember that once you are asked to log in using the Discover catalog, you are logging in using your student ID number and your Colab password. After that, you will wait until you get a Schoology message to let you know that your books are ready to pick up. A reminder to Cohort C students that you can pick up your books on Wednesdays anytime between 8 and 2 in the vestibule outside the main office. Recently, we've opened up the library for browsing as well. We ask that you sanitize your hands when you come in, and you can stop in during passing time or class, advisory and activity time for a quick browse and a checkout. So we hope that you'll be stopping down to do that. It's been really nice to see some of your faces now that we've been able to open that up. A reminder as well that Mac and Via is available. That's that app on your iPad, and you can access that on our library homepage here. Remembering that that is for ebooks and audiobooks, and it's available too. Speaking of Destiny Discover, the library catalog is more visual this year than it was last year, and I'm going to click on this link to bring us to Discover. I wanted to show you that we do have things on this catalog that are changing all the time, so I hope that you're going to be checking in on what is being updated on a fairly regular basis. The opening banner that's going to hopefully come up for us here is going to show books about elections and voting because, of course, we've had the election going on. But we're going to be switching that out in the next couple of days just so that we have a new collection of books up there. And so I encourage you to be stopping back and looking at Destiny Discover every few days or weeks since we are changing that all the time, giving you the opportunity to see some books, fiction, nonfiction, graphic novels. We're trying to switch it up all the time to give you new ideas of books to read. And it's just a new way to shop for books, especially if you're not here in person. As you go down the page, a reminder that there are collections here as well, and we're adding to that fairly consistently. We have 4 new collections listed right now, and we'll be continuing to add to that. For example, if you're in the mood to be reading some books about pandemics and plagues, you could click on this collection. And you'll see that we have 31 items in the collection right now, all with books about characters who have been through this before. So if you're in the mood to read something, largely science fiction books here and some fantasy as well, graphic novels thrown in too. It's nice to see that we've got some characters who have done what we've done. And if you're in the mood to read some of those, just like any of the other shopping that you do on here, you could click on any of these covers, and then once you've logged in up here, you'd be able to put the books on hold. So just be aware that this is here, it's here for you, and it'll be changing fairly frequently to give you new, exciting books to take a look at. And speaking of books to be thinking about, let's get into our book talk for this month. The first one I'm sharing is by Gordon Corman. It's called The Juvie 3. He is the author of Schooled and Restart and a lot of other funny books. This one isn't so much funny as it is this realistic story. It's about 3 kids who have gotten themselves into a juvenile detention center for doing things that were illegal, but they're too young to go to jail. One of them drove a getaway car for a robbery, and another kid was involved in some gang activity in Chicago. Another kid supposedly killed someone. All 3 of them, Gecko, Terrence, and RJ, are serving time in juvie until a guy by the name of Douglas Healy comes along, and he's a former juvenile detention kid himself. He's gotten his life turned around, and he wants to help kids who have been in his shoes before. He decides to take in these 3 guys, and he's running this halfway house in New York City. He wants a chance to give them a new start to their lives, and things are going really well until one night Douglas is accidentally knocked unconscious when he's trying to break up a little scuffle among the boys. Well, these boys are freaked out. They just know that no matter what they tell the cops, they're going to be back in juvie, no problem. So instead of admitting what happened, they just drop Healy off the hospital and run away. And when Healy wakes up, he has no memory of them, no memory of the halfway house, nothing. You've got to read the story to find out what's going to happen with Healy's memory, what's going to happen with these guys. The Juvie 3 by Gordon Corman, a really popular realistic fiction book in our library. Stones in Water by Donna Jo Napoli is historical fiction for those of you who have an interest in World War II and the surrounding events. This is one favorite of mine. Roberto sneaks off to see a movie in his Italian village one night, and he has no idea how life-changing that will be. Before the movie hardly gets started, German soldiers raid the theater and round up all the boys in the audience, pack them onto a train, and he and his best friend Samuel, hours later, days later in fact, find themselves in a work camp where food is scarce and the things that they're seeing are just unimaginable. The boys promise that they're going to stay together no matter what, but Samuel has a very dangerous secret, and if that secret were to be discovered, it would get them killed. You've got to read this story of friendship and World War II and find out how these two boys together try to survive. Killing Mr. Griffin by Lois Duncan imagines a prank, or not even a prank exactly. It's trying to teach someone a lesson, and it goes horribly wrong. These high school kids only planned to scare their English teacher. Their English teacher is someone who'd been incredibly cruel to students, had been grading them unfairly, had been demeaning and awful to students, and they decided they were fed up. Well, they never actually intended to kill him. They meant to scare him really badly. They brought him up to a cabin. They were going to leave him there overnight. And when they came back to find him the next day, he had died. So clearly their plan to scare him into treating people better went horribly wrong. But now what do you do? How did he die? What do they do when their hands are now, tied? What do you do when you're responsible for the murder, really, of someone? This is that story, Killing Mr. Griffin by Lois Duncan. It's a fabulous mystery worth your time. The Luckiest Girl in the World by Stephen Levenkron is a sports story in the sense that this girl is on her way to becoming a champion figure skater. But it's a story that has sports sort of as its background. Because looking at Katie, our main character, you'd think that she had it all. She's an A student, she's beautiful, she's popular, she's at this exclusive private school. It seems like her life, she has it all together. And we all know someone like that, right? Someone who, from the outside, every part of their life seems perfect. On the inside, though, she is dealing with so much pressure, and that pressure has continued to build and build and build. And the only way that Katie has found to deal with it, because she hasn't been talking about that pressure, is she started to cut herself. And this story is about how Katie finds a way to recovery. She finds a healthy way to deal with the pain and pressure. But it's first about the pain. It's about how she hasn't been talking to friends or family or a counselor, but it's after talking about how she begins to deal and heal. The story's called The Luckiest Girl in the World. Try out that book. The last book I'm sharing from our library is Seeing Cinderella by Jenny Lundquist. I think this has such a cheesy cover, so I hope that you're not turned off by it. It looks like a fairy tale book. It is not. It's in our fantasy section. This is about a girl named Calliope, what a name, and she wishes her life could be more like a fairy tale. She writes stories that are kind of like that, right, where everything turns out wonderful in the end. But her own life is a mess. Her best friend's acting so weird, her parents' marriage is falling apart, and as if everything else wasn't a disaster, she's now found out that she has to wear these awful glasses. You know, not just glasses, but like these hideously large, geeky, super thick lensed glasses. But because this is a fantasy book, Callie learns that these are not any ordinary glasses. They are glasses that allow her to read people's thoughts. She at first thinks, wow, this is amazing. I can answer all the questions right in my math class, and I can figure out what people think about me and how much they, admire me, and, things that I have always wondered I get to know. But she also, on the flip side, has to find out all the things that people think about her that she would rather not know at all. Things that she wished she didn't have any idea about. A blessing, a curse. This story looks at that problem. Seeing Cinderella by Jenny Lundquist. It's a really fun read. Please ignore the cover. It is called this because part of the story is about her trying out for a play, and the play is Cinderella. So that does play a part in the story. But again, please don't let the cover turn you away from this book. I want to end my book talk today talking a little about the fact that the book fair is coming. It's an online book fair this fall due to COVID. It's going to be running from Monday, November 16th through Sunday, November 29th. Purchases do support our school as always, so I really appreciate already anything that you and your families decide to purchase. We really love because it allows more books to come back to our school and our library, and that's fantastic. There will be more information coming to your English classroom soon, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I wanted to share 2 quick book trailers to end my talk today, just to give you a little hint as to some of the things coming to our book fair. So, the first is for those of you that enjoy the I Survived book series.
I Survived books based on terrifying true events in history. Josh is on a family trip to Northern California when he finds himself in the middle of the deadliest wildfire season in 100 years. He and his cousin Holly are suddenly trapped in a fast-moving firestorm that's destroying everything in its path. Smoke burns their lungs, and embers burn their skin. They must find a way to escape the blazing forest in I Survived the California Wildfires 2018. And another favorite I Survived book is now a thrilling graphic novel. A killer shark has been terrorizing swimmers along the New Jersey shore. Chet feels safe in his small town, far from the ocean, until one day, when he comes face to face with a shark in the local creek. Will Chet and his friends survive the swim? Find out in the graphic novel adaptation of I Survived the Shark Attacks of 1916. Look for them at your Scholastic Book Fair.
Both of those look super fun. And one last one for your consideration.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Hide and seek. I'm not sure why we started playing, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. We were all so happy to be together again. My friend Z had finally come home. He'd been missing for a year. No one knew where he'd been. But now it was like old times. Except there was something looking for us. Something from another world. The Seeker. He was the one who took Z. And now, he wanted us too.
Find Hide and Seeker at your Scholastic Book Fair. If you can.
That one to me has almost a Stranger Things kind of a vibe to it. Looks like a good one. So I hope that you'll consider some purchases through the Scholastic Book Fair. Again, I'll be sending out some more information soon. As always, I hope that you'll reach out if you have any questions about book checkouts, about the book fair, or anything related to the library. And in the meantime, happy reading.